Hey, now bebop. Yabba dabba dum when the beat drop. Hey, yabba dabba doo bop. Hey, yabba dabba dabba doo bop.
Superman is cool. Yeah, that's right. I just said that. Believe it or not, even though my most popular video I've made on this channel is about Marvel characters, I actually prefer DC. Spider-Man is still my favorite overall. DC Comics and all those caped crusaders are some real studs. Superman is my go-to when I fix up a mental image of a superhero, and honestly for a good reason. I'm sure I don't need to introduce or explain Superman to you, especially since he's been flying around the city of Metropolis since 1930s. The execs over at DC tend to disagree though. No superhero that comes to mind has had their origin story retold so many times. Sure, it's been mentioned or restated by the likes of Spider-Man, and God forbid Batman needs a reason to break a man's arm in 17 pieces for not using the proper recycling bin. Superman's story has been retold and remade so many times that I actually need more than one hand to count them. That's what I plan on talking about today. This video is not going to be a breakdown or analysis of each story. It's basically just my thoughts and a simple summary, so you get the idea if you want to read it yourself. Honestly, For All Seasons is a really great miniseries. It's a very fun and thoughtful story. Probably because it's the classic combo of Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Sale's art works with how bubbly he draws the story. It could certainly also be that the coloring helps 10 times over. But anyway, the premise of the story takes place over the course of a year. At least that's how I understood it, with each of the 4 books taking place during a different season. Hence the name For All Seasons. And it helps that each book has a different narrator, with none of them being Superman. It also will feel more alive with how Superman is around just saving people. First issue, Spring, has Martha Kent narrating with how he moves from Smallville to big city Metropolis. It highlights Clark's relationship with his family, friends, Lana, and generally just the town as a whole of Smallville. The story is so seamless with how Clark seems to just exist in the story. I don't really know how to explain it. But with how he never narrates, he feels like a real person, like a sign of hope. Honestly, can't figure out what I'm trying to say here, but yeah, that's best I could do. Second issue is during summer with Lois narrating. The summer issue shows how Superman tends to view Luthor and how he is a figure of hope, that everybody sees him as a Metropolis. Issue 3, aka Falls, from a perspective of Lex Luthor, and explains his thought process and as to why he hates and detests Superman. And honestly, it's probably the best one of this. He uses his smarts to show that maybe Superman isn't that great of a hero. The 4th issue takes place during the winter, with it following Lana Lang's perspective. Since Clark is back at Smallville downing himself, he gets back into his groove, saving the city of Smallville from a flood, and eventually heading back to Metropolis. The story is short, it's sweet, and honestly just perfectly resembles the theme of Superman as a whole. Okay, so technically the Golden Age is not a Superman origin story. It is the origin for us humans about Superman. It isn't a style origin that we know it as. It's summarized in the first page of the comic, but hey, at least that's better than a text scrawl. Superman has changed a lot over the 80 years, as he is a far cry than he was back in these original comics. While he is still a caped hero that does and means well, being labeled as the actual champion of the oppressed, this man is absolutely unhinged. He always has a screw loose, just waiting to punch somebody in the face. The first issue, he is seen running through doors and throwing regular people into walls. Sure, there's serious situations and those people aren't well, but there wasn't even a talk. He just barges into homes and throwing shit around like ragdolls. And honestly, kind of love it. It's fun to see a ballistic-ass Superman that just needs to let loose on anybody he agrees and disagrees with. But overall, it still has the typical hopeful Man of Steel I've seen today. Issue 3 has Superman hearing about a mine shaft crash into itself, deciding to go and help. After helping everybody, interviews one of the miners, just to learn that their big boss man was actually aware of all of these issues that they brought to him and that caused it to crash. Kent goes to the boss and asks if he's planning to fix the situation. Boss basically says nah, and offers the workers a nice retirement payout of only $50. Sure, inflation probably makes that $17 billion, but Jesus Christ, he's cheap. So Superman decides to go back later that night, disguised as a worker. He goes to the boss's home, where he's having a party. Superman is able to lure everybody at this party down to the mines and basically check them out and be like, hey, this is the ultimate party spot. And while they're down there, Superman destroys fucking wooden support beams, closing in everybody on while they suffocate and pass out. Now, sure, this leads to the boss man realizing the error of his ways and improving the conditions, but like, dude, I appreciate the ability to be direct and sticking to your guns, but bro took it a little too literally. Like, I couldn't imagine modern Superman like Corn Sweat throwing Elon in a Cybertruck and then unloading an entire LMG just to prove that maybe they aren't as bulletproof as they advertise it as. But yeah, honestly, I W Superman.
1, 2, 3, 4. And
Okay, Secret Origin is my favorite, no question. After rereading all of these stories again for this video, I originally was thinking all seasons, but nah, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank made something else here. I don't know why I just said that like an AI. Instead of just taking place over the course of a single event or whatever, it takes place during his childhood and becoming Superman and then into defeating Luthor for the first time. It's only 6 issues, so the pacing here is really nice and snappy. The story introduces a lot of elements from Superman's mythos, the future society Torps, Crypto, Kryptonite, and many others like his villains throughout the years. And Gary Frank is an amazing artist. Like, I don't really like to glaze that much, but he is good enough that I can't even tell if it's being drawn, if that makes sense. Like, you know the phrase, it's like, you know, good at editor if you can't tell that there is an editor? It's kind of like that. Like, his action and paneling and just character drawing is so seamless that I have a hard time having trouble reading it. I don't know what I'm saying here. It also helps that he draws Superman and Clark Kent to resemble Christopher Reeve, which certainly helps to add to the realism, I will say. And I don't know if this is just me, but his art style reminds me a lot of Genji Ito. Again, it's probably just me, but I mean, it's still good. A positive, though, I could certainly say for this story, is that I actually like all the characters, especially the main characters, which I feel is important. All of them are entertaining and don't make my eyes roll or annoy me whenever they talk. The way Morrison builds the relationship between Clark and Lois is efficient with how contained it is within these 6 issues. If anything, he only really talks to her for like 3 or 4 issues. They're pretty believable, not too flirty, but certainly friendly enough that I could see something like, you know, building off of that, like an actual relationship. I'm going to add here that the villains that are used are pretty cool. Sounding like a 12-year-old right now, but he mainly fights Lex, also fights Parasite, Metallo, and the Army. Good villains, nothing crazy as it should be for an origin story. Honestly, a round of applause for this. That's a pretty fun read. I highly recommend it.
Ooh, baby, do you know that's what?
I will start this by saying that this is a good story, but oh, I hate Luthor in this story. I hate the way he talks, I hate the way he acts, I hate the way he fucking looks. Anyway, yes, the story, it's pretty damn good. Made by Grant Morrison, was a part of the New 52 relaunch for 2011. He did about 18 issues, but I'm only going to be covering the first 8 because that was, you know, the original intention, but he got greenlit for more. Again, this is meant to represent the origin of the quote-unquote new Superman. And honestly, I don't really like him. Just like the entire time, honestly, I am not vibing with this. Now, yes, I'm completely aware that this is meant to be a representation of showing Superman going from the Golden Age to the Modern Age, them initially dealing with the military, regular human situations, eventually dealing with Brainiac. But I don't know. I just don't like it. I just don't like how he acts. Maybe because he was different back then, a product of the time that I found corny but also charming. Like Clark Kent was so over the top going from 0 to 100 without any issues either. That made it really funny. Helps he was also in his mid-30s too. So he's like a full-grown adult going ballistic. But however here, he's just a fucking kid. That honestly makes him look and act more like a brat more than anything. And that is probably the reason that's why I don't like this version so much. It's because Clark acts like a kid acting over the top, which honestly just makes him look immature. Now before, guys, fucking keyboard warriors go in the comments and start complaining. No, I'm not saying he's in the wrong. It's just that isn't as funny. But, like, other than Clark, how is the comic? I like it. It's fun. Yeah, I don't know. Just wasn't exactly having my earth shattered or amazed by this story. It did its job, introducing a new generation to a new take on Superman. Though I can say with confidence, I do not like New 52 Superman. But the story itself, it's good. It's serviceable. I would definitely recommend it. I will say, though, that Centipede Brainiac was not something I knew I needed to see in my life.
Yeah, so I copped the jeans front with... Wait, hold up.
Now, Year 1, Superman Year 1, this is full unhinged chaos. And I love it. Mainly referring to issue 3, though I will say, Frank Miller certainly has an interesting way of writing these DC superheroes, especially Batman. And oh boy, is Batman a figure in this issue. But the way he writes Superman, mainly a younger Superman, I'd be low-key scared if this guy were saving me. Seems like he has like a genuine sense of joy from using his powers, which I mean, I would too. But I kind of took it as he enjoys being strong and more powerful than anybody, constantly reminding them that he's better and always in the right. Like, bro will get rage baited so hard by these quote-unquote school-year bullying that he likes to keep mentioning and quote-unquote stopping. But yeah, issue 1 and 2 are simple enough origins of him growing up into actually becoming the Superman that we know of. Issue 3, though, is him in the big city, and oh boy, is this a doozy. He has a cute little montage of him stopping crime, feeling on top of the world, yeah, until he eventually meets Luthor, who sends him to go capture the Batman. And like, okay, everybody here probably knows how bad shit, pun intended, Miller's Batman is, but like, this guy actually needs to take a fucking chill pill for whatnot, because he's a prime example of a Joker with a screw loose. I'm all fine with the Batman having a sense of humor, just some life and energy, but the moment he starts calling Joker Joker Boy, you know he's too deep in the sauce. And a few pages later after that, Superman and Bat meets face to face, and Batman has a dick measuring contest with like himself, while Superman just mogs there, until Wonder Woman randomly shows up. We all go to Luthor's, and then Superman just fucks off. Not before Wonder Woman just randomly asks him for a cute kiss to remember him by, which is like, aw, so cute. And then I think Batman replies to Luthor that he's gonna get raped in prison. I don't fucking know, man. Superman Year 1 was made by a man that had too many drugs and not enough to fucking share around, apparently. I genuinely love Superman as stories. I also enjoy other people's takes and renditions on this man. Yes, even Frank Miller's version. Believe it or not, there are still other stories that try and retell Superman's origin, but I think I've read enough about this guy for one day.